Bu Dwi sebagai pembawa acara.
Okay, thank you. We'll start our general lecture for today. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The Honorable The Honorable Guest Lecturer, Professor Dr. Zuliati Rohmah, M.Pd, the Honorable Head of Department of Language Education and Art, Faculty of Teacher Training and Education, Universitas Sriwijaya, Dr. Didi Suhendi, S.Pd. Home, the Honorable Coordinator of English Education Study Program, Faculty of Teacher Training and Education, Universitas Sriwijaya, Bapak Ariswan Putrajaya, S.Pd. M.Pd, all beloved lecturers, students, and participants of today's general lecture. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the committee, I would like to extend a very warm welcome to all of you. We appreciate you taking off your busy schedules to join us today. And we hope that you will find this agenda we have planned for you to be fruitful and engaging. The theme of our today's general lecture is Linguistic Landscape, Exploring Science in Public Space. And first, I will let you know our rundown for today. We'll have the report from the chair of the committee, and then we'll have an opening remark from the head of Department of Language Education and Art, Faculty of Teacher Training and Education, Universitas Sriwijaya. And then we'll have a general lecture, following by questions and answer sessions. And in the last part, we'll have a photo sessions and closing. And now, first, we'll hear the report from the chair of the committee that will be delivered by Ibu Fiftinova, SS M.Pd.
Okay, thank you, Ibu Dwi. So in this occasion, I would like to say thank you to Ibu Zuliati Rohmah for spending time with us in this general lecture. Well, the story begins, when I was asked by Pak Hariswan, to invite speakers. So I asked Bu Ani at that time, and Bu Ani recommended Prof. Zuliati Rohmah in this case. And
recording in progress.
At that time, around 3 weeks ago, we were discussing about what topic that should be introduced in this general lecture, and Prof. Zuliati told me about the linguistic landscape. And at that time, I agree with that because I do not know a lot about that this topic too, Bu. And then yes, and today we will have we will hear about linguistic landscape, exploring science in public spaces. And I would like to say thank you too for lecturers of English Education Study Program who are capable to attend this forum, and also our beloved students. And also, Pak Hariswan said there are also some students from some universities in Sumatra, like Universitas Lampung and Jambi, if I'm not mistaken. Welcome aboard to this general lecture. I think, and I hope that this topic will give new insight for us as lecturer and also students. Thank you. Okay, Bu Dwi.
Okay, thank you, Ibu Fiftinova. And now we'll hear an opening remark from the head of Department of Language Education and Art, Faculty of Teacher Training and Education, Universitas Sriwijaya, from Dr. Didi Suhendi, S.Pd. Home, who also will officially open our today's general lecture. Please welcome Dr. Didi Suhendi, S.Pd. Home.
Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala aswafil anbiya'i wal mursalin. Bismillah, asbihi wa astaghfiruh wa asma'in amma ba'du. Puji syukur kita panjatkan kehadirat Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala bahwa kita pada siang hari ini bisa diberi kesehatan untuk bertemu dalam ruang virtual dalam rangka kuliah umum program studi pendidikan bahasa Inggris FKIP Universitas Sriwijaya. Kemudian kita curahkan juga salam sholawat kita kepada junjungan Nabi besar Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam beserta para sahabat, para pengikutnya sampai akhir zaman. Bapak Dekan dan Wakil Dekan FKIP Universitas Sriwijaya yang saya hormati, terutama Ibu dosen tamu Profesor Dr. Zuliati Rohmah M.Pd dari Fakultas Adab Universitas Islam Negeri Sunan Ampel Surabaya. Terima kasih Ibu Profesor yang telah hadir secara virtual dalam memenuhi undangan kami dalam kuliah umum. Bapak Ibu dosen, baik di lingkungan Universitas Sriwijaya maupun di universitas lain yang juga kami hormati, Bapak Ibu dosen, Bapak Ibu guru, para praktisi, akademisi, para mahasiswa dan masyarakat, serta para hadirin yang dimuliakan oleh Allah. Saya selaku mewakili dekan yang pada hari ini tidak bisa hadir karena secara bersamaan sedang melakukan kegiatan di Hotel Beston dalam rangka atau terkait dengan pendidikan profesi guru. Oleh karena itu, saya sebagai Ketua Jurusan Pendidikan Bahasa dan Seni diminta untuk mewakili beliau dalam rangka memberikan sambutan sekaligus pembukaan dalam kuliah umum. Alhamdulillah, sekali lagi saya mengucapkan terima kasih kepada Ibu Profesor Dr. Zuliati Rohmah M.Pd yang bersedia hadir untuk memberikan semacam opini, gagasan, pemikiran terkait dengan linguistik. Ya, dan judul yang dibawakan diajukan pada hari ini sangat menarik, yaitu Linguistic Landscape Exploring Science in Public Spaces. Landscape linguistik mengeksplorasi tanda-tanda dalam ruang publik. Ini tentu gagasan yang sangat menarik. Apakah nanti akan dijelaskan terkait dengan signifier, ya, dalam pendekatan teori struktural, ya, yang juga nanti terkait dengan disiplin komunikasi. Nah, ikon, indeks, simbol yang di dalam ilmu sastra yang saya geluti juga begitu menarik, ya, sampai karakter tokoh-tokoh di dalam novel, di dalam cerpen, ya, di dalam puisi yang naratif, tentu semua tanda-tanda itu bisa dieksplorasi sedemikian rupa sehingga antara satu karakter dengan karakter yang dalam tokoh prosa fiksi tentu dapat dibedakan. Dan ini sangat menarik, sehingga tidak mengherankan apabila pada siang hari ini kuliah umum pendidikan bahasa Inggris itu sudah dihadiri oleh 266 audiens yang tersebar di seluruh Indonesia. Oleh karena itu, sekali lagi saya mengucapkan terima kasih kepada Ibu Profesor. Sedikit banyak tentu akan memberikan pengalaman, pemikiran, opini yang sangat menarik terutama dalam disiplin pendidikan bahasa Inggris, baik itu untuk dosen, akademisi maupun praktisi. Saya berharap semua peserta akan menyimak dan memperhatikan ilmu-ilmu yang akan diberikan dalam kuliah umum, sehingga akan muncul gagasan-gagasan yang tentu saja akan menarik jika dituangkan dalam bentuk tulisan, baik dalam bentuk makalah maupun artikel-artikel yang termuat dalam jurnal nasional atau jurnal internasional. Dengan mengucapkan Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, maka kuliah umum pendidikan bahasa Inggris Fakultas Keguruan dan Ilmu Pendidikan Universitas Sriwijaya dengan resmi kami buka. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you so much, Bapak Dr. Didi Suhendi, M.Pd, M.Hum. And now we have our main sessions for our general lectures, and these sessions will be led by our moderator for today. And now I will invite our moderator today, Ibu Sari Silviani, M.Pd, M.A, Ph.D. Please welcome Ibu Sari Silviani, M.Pd, M.A, Ph.D.
Thank you, Bu Dwi Maharani. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Welcome everyone to the third general lecture in English Education Study Program, Faculty of Teachers Training and Education, Universitas Sriwijaya. I'm so delighted to welcome everyone in our session, especially to our speaker today, Professor Zuliati Rohmah. Welcome to our campus virtually. And as I mentioned earlier, I happen to know Professor Zuliati, but we have never met for such a long time. So this is a really excited opportunity to reconnect with Bu Zuliati. Thank you very much, Professor Zuliati, for your willingness to share your knowledge and experience in this topic. As the chair of this program, Bu Fiftinova has mentioned earlier, this is our regular general meeting, and we try to have various topics to address. And we also invited not only students in our study program, but also other students, especially those in the neighboring university. So we will see many different students. So hopefully that will enrich our discussion today. Before we start our general lecture today, please allow me to introduce us to Professor Zuliati Rohmah. Professor Zuliati Rohmah is a professor of English language studies at Fakultas Adab UIN Sunan Ampel, Surabaya. She finished her doctorate in English language teaching at Universitas Negeri Malang in 2006. And during the writing of her dissertation, she conducted her research at Curtin University of Technology in Australia. And also during her doctoral, she joined the Fulbright Scholarship. The program is pre-doctorate research at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign in 2003. And she also joined in-service certificate in English language teaching, ESOL examination at the University of Cambridge. And I think the other postdoctoral program that she joined was the Humphrey Fellow at the University of Minnesota. I think that's the time when we met. Yeah, Ibu, I was doing my doctoral at that time, and Ibu Zuliati doing the postdoctoral program at the University of Minnesota. And she is also one of the editors at the very reputable journal, Teflon Journal, and has published in many different international journals. That's a short bio of our speaker today. And our general lecture will be about, for Bu Zuliati, it's approximately 1 hour, more or less 1 hour for the presentation of the topic. And it will be followed by the discussion. So we will have question and answer session for about 30 minutes. So everyone who are attending, you can write your comments or question throughout the lecture in our chat box. And we will also provide the opportunity for direct questions, if it is, if we have a longer time. But meanwhile, while listening to the lecture, please leave your comments and questions in the chat box. Okay, that's just a little bit of the rule, okay, I think that's our introduction. Without further ado, I would like to welcome Professor Zuliati Rohmah to give us the general lecture today. Bu Zuliati, time is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Ibu Sari. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Yeah, thank you very much for inviting me to come to Universitas Sriwijaya virtually. So, without spending any time, any money, we can meet together today in online meeting. So, I think that is a positive side of COVID-19. So we need to always try to thank God, whatever situation we are.
Just see from the positive perspective.
Yeah. I'm very happy today to meet Ibu Sari, who I've met before a long time ago, 2011, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And thank you very much for Ibu 50 Nova and also Bapak Didi Suhendi, who have already invited me to come virtually to meet all students and also lecturers in Universitas Sriwijaya today. My topic today is Linguistic Landscape, Exploring Science in Public Spaces. Before I start my presentation, I would like to ask all of you, what is in your mind when you hear the word linguistic landscape? Please write down in the chat if it is possible.
Okay, so it's a bit interactive, so all participants, students, please write down your opinion.
Yeah, what comes out in your mind when you hear the words linguistic landscape? Have you heard it before, or it is just the first time for you?
Especially those who are taking social linguistics, nih Bu ya. Zuliati.
Okay.
Okay, please use the chat box, everyone, to type up what you had in mind when you hear the word linguistic landscape. Go ahead.
Just one word, 2 words, 1 sentence. It's up to you. It's free, no penalty. Escape at first, but it's just my ear. Oh, escape, yeah. Escape, landscape. Language, yes. Language. Language for communication. Study about language display in landscape. Language view. I think with the word the balanced study of language. Okay. What else? Pak Didi has already related linguistic landscape with Sosorian and also Persian
structural linguistics.
Yeah, index.
I think peers, we're going to hear more about peers. Maybe, Ibu?
Yeah, maybe yes, maybe no. Okay. Okay, study of language. Yeah. Okay, then let me start my presentation. Let me share my screen so that everyone can have a clearer picture of what the language landscape is. Can everybody see my PowerPoint? My slide?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Look at the picture over there. Why do you think I put the picture of Beverly Hills over there? What does it relate
Why
with
Beverly
linguistic
Hills?
landscape?
Los Angeles.
Okay.
We have Pak Dim here. Usually Pak Dim teach social linguistics.
Okay.
Something related to
Pak Dim, do you want to say something, Pak Dim?
Oh, thank you. I'm happy to be with you today.
Okay. I'm happy too. Okay, so what is linguistic landscape? Let me start with this. I will not talk more about Pearson's concept of icon, sign, and so on, and also Saussurean concept related to that. But you know that it's already in 80 something or early 19th century. But now it's already 21st century, so it's about 2 centuries from now on. So the concept of signs developed by Saussure and also Peirce, I think it's already a little bit somewhere. So we come now to the concept of linguistic landscape. So it's also still related with signifier, signified, and things like that. The signs here in public science, it's something signifier, signified to something. So linguistic landscape is actually the language of public road signs, advertising billboards, street names, place names, shop signs, and also public signs on government buildings, which combines to form the linguistic landscape of a given territory, region, and also urban agglomeration. So this is the definition of linguistic landscape given or introduced by Landry and Borges in 1997. So it's a little bit, actually, linguistic landscape has developed in the late 20 years from now. So it's 1997 up to now, so it's about 20 years. So it's actually a little bit relatively new. In other words, brought by Beckhouse in 2007, sign in linguistic landscape is inscribed surface displayed in public space in order to convey a message of wider concern to a non-specified groups of readers. So it's for public, so not specified groups. Here are some important terms in linguistic landscape. We have commercial signs like marketing and advertising billboards, shop names, logos, or non-commercial signs like topographic information, directions, warning, and so on. We have what is called government signs, which is also often called top-down because it is created and published by the government. We also know what is called private signs, and it is published by common people, common society. There is symbolic information of linguistic landscape as put in topographic information, directions and warnings, and also some symbolic function of linguistic landscape, especially related to ethnic identity. Now let's look at the function of linguistic landscape. It is an indicator of what groups reside in a certain territory. For example, this. What language appears in these signs? Can you see over there what languages we can find in the signs? Students?
If you cannot use your microphone, you can type it up or you can activate your microphone to respond to Zuliati.
Yeah. Mexican,
There are some
Spanish,
Mexican, Spanish.
Yes. Okay, that's good. The first one, the big one, it is Spanish. And what is the lower one, the smaller one? What language is it written over there? English. Okay. So from this kind of sign, can you predict where the sign exists or where it is located? And who resides around the sign? Argentina? Yeah, that's possible because in Argentina, Spanish is spoken over there. California or Texas? Yeah, that's good.
Good guess.
Good guess. Yeah. Mexico? Yeah, possible. Spain, Colombia, France. Okay. Now look at here. This one in the corner below, it is written over there, Sevilla. So it is in Spain, yeah, in Andalusia. Sevilla. So we can guess in Sevilla, of course, the biggest ethnic groups over there is Spanish, and they speak Spanish. Therefore, the bigger one here is written in Spanish, and also it is followed by English because English is a global language. So English is found almost everywhere. Can you see English in your surrounding area? I think many of our places also use English because English is global language, and sometimes it is easier just to put English over there. Okay. So we can guess from this one, the groups reside in the territory is Spanish. What about this? No public access. Can you find this kind of public sign in your area with this Latin and English words over there? Di Palembang ada nggak tanda seperti ini? Tulisannya no public access. Di tempat saya nggak ada.
Yeah. Combine with Indonesian, Bu ya.
Okay,
hanya untuk karyawan mungkin ya.
Okay.
I think sometimes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, hanya untuk karyawan, hanya untuk staff and so on. Okay. With English words like this, it might be available in just like office with international guest, or maybe with international staff, or maybe we expect some English people come to that area, then it is written with no public access with English word over there. What about this one? Where can you find this kind of sign? What is the language in the upper part? Java Gate. Again, it is in English. Yeah, okay, good guess. It is in the mosque. Mosque in Indonesia, do you think mosque in Indonesia will be using this kind of sign? Maybe if we have only Babul Khalid, which is in Arabic, it is in the mosque, maybe. But what about the alphabet below, the lowest one? It is written in what alphabet? Is it in Latin? I think no. Okay, Hebrew, good guess. So if you see sign using English, Arabic, and Hebrew, where can you find it? And who resides that territory?
In Palestine.
Yeah, it might be.
One of the students write it down.
Yeah, in Palestine. Yeah, this is in Palestine. Jordan, Syria, and that surrounding area where people using these three languages. Okay, so the functions of linguistic landscape. Linguistic landscape informs who are in group and out group. Also informs territorial limits, language boundaries, people enter. Look at this. If you are in front of this building, what do you feel? Do you understand the languages written over there? Is it in English? Is it in Latin alphabet? Russian, okay. If you are in Russia and you do not find any English words, what do you feel? Do you feel in group or do you feel out group? Do you feel they welcome you or do you feel you are just an outsider? Yeah, so because this is Russian and I myself do not know any Russian, and if I'm in this kind of building, I will feel out of group. I don't belong to this place because I cannot read anything. I don't understand this. One thing that can help me is the picture. Look at the picture like this. The pictures of food, so I can guess that this is the place where foods are offered. And also 20%, that is the things that I can understand. Also pictures over here, only that. But in terms of the language, I cannot understand. So these, the languages written over there can put people to feel belong to the group. Yeah, to categorize people to be in group or out group. And it's also limit the territory. Is it for Russian? Is it for Japanese? Is it for English? Or is it for Spanish or Indonesian? Yeah, so this is a kind of language boundaries shown by linguistic landscape. So these all are linguistic landscape. Signs in the forms of language or pictures put in a public spaces. And the function is to inform who are in group, who are out of group, and so on. Look at this one. And this one, there is an English word over there, night shop. So I know that this is night shop. Maybe I don't want to go to this place. And this is written not only in English, but also in other languages. So it might... the biggest information, I think, is not written in English, but in other languages. So it might be in Europe, yeah. And this one, can you imagine? Can you count how many languages are put in this sign? I understand English, Cordoba's leather. I understand Arabic words, Al-Jildiyah, Kurtubah, Bidu'at. So this just a translation of Cordoba's leather. We can also see Hebrew here. We can also see other alphabets, maybe belongs to Korean or Japanese or Chinese, and also some other languages over here. And this sign is put in shop actually. It means that the shop provides and also expect buyers from different nationalities. That is why then the sellers put different languages over there just to make the buyers to feel at home, to feel in group, to be part of the consumers of the leather. This is how linguistic landscape make people to feel in group or out of group. Now look at this again. The language that we can see here, again, this is Arabic, and then the upper part here is Hebrew, and the lower part again is Latin alphabet. Malak wrote a translation of Tariqul Malak. Then it must be again somewhere in Israel or maybe in Palestine, Jordan or neighboring countries. And then this one, I think this is not in Indonesia because no Indonesian written over there. What can be found over there is in English, pay and display 2 hour limits, and then 8:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. Monday, Saturday. So it is basically English with some other languages over there, but it is written in, although it is put in the upper part of the sign, but it is in smaller alphabet. So in terms of the importance of the language, English is still put as the most important. It might be in Irish. The language is Irish, and this sign might be in Ireland, where English is also spoken there, but also Irish language. Here again, coffee shop. Coffee is in English, but the other alphabets are written in different kinds of alphabet. It might be in Korea, or maybe Thailand, or maybe in Japan. So this all shows different signs in public spaces, and it informs who are in groups, who are out groups, and the kinds of linguistic territory over there. Now let's look at the relationship between linguistic landscape and identity. Linguistic landscape signs describe the identity of a city and almost speaks the language of its inhabitants at the moment in time. So what language is used will show the identity. Look at this. If we look at this picture, then we can see this is a picture of the back of a taxi, and the language used over here. Look at here. We see French. Yeah. So what kinds of identity of the inhabitants over there? Do you think the inhabitants is Japanese? No, yeah. It is not Japanese, but it is French. So the inhabitants of the city is French. And what kinds of other identity? Warm welcome. It means that they warm people, but why they give us warm welcome? If we relate to taxi, then it must relate to tourists. It might be something related to how they generate money, especially from tourists. And they welcome people from around the world. Look at here, the dictionary or books written in different languages. This one is Dutch, and then Netherlands, and then maybe Japanese, Chinese, and so on. So they welcome. So it means that the inhabitants of the city are open for people from different countries, and they welcome those all with warm attitude. That is how identity of the inhabitants of the city can be understood from the language put in the signs in public areas. Okay, now let's look at how identity is shown by and understood by different school of thought. From traditional essentialist school of thought, identity is seen as static and bounded within specific borders in such a way that the self is usually identified as never changing. People, according to this school of thought, people living in this era right now is just similar to people living in 1945, although it's already 60 or 70 years different from the era. But according to this school of thought, people still actually have the same identity. Whether you agree with this or not, it depends on which school of thought you follow. And then rational constructivist see identity with relation to power, which dictates collective identity. Elites promote their interests via the construction of identity. If, for example, the people in power has a certain ideology, then they will dictate to people with certain ideology. That is according to rationally constructivist. Another postmodern perspective see linguistic landscape, especially related to meaning. Meaning becomes a fleeting phenomenon that evaporates almost as soon as it occurs in written language or keeps transforming itself into new meanings rather than something fixed. So it is in contradictory to the traditional school thought. It's very different. Look at the picture over there. It is very different from the picture of traditionalists. Then predominant migrant communities in urban setting settle in within the culture, customs, and languages and influence significantly the linguistic landscape of that city. Look at the different languages used in the left, picture in the left, and also picture in the right. It's very different because related with culture. Now let's look at the more examples of topics in linguistic landscape. Linguistic landscape can be related with ideology, language ideology. We can see, for example, from the research by Sohami and Mahasne, they look at how Arabic is used or appear in public sign. Over there, Arabic is, although Arabic is a minority language, but it is seen almost in every signs in road. So it's a little bit different from the language policy by the government. And Moriarty, it is related to Irish linguistic landscape. There are 3 different areas seen from the linguistic landscape over there. And then also Arabic in Andalusian linguistic landscape, which I wrote in a journal. And I have already sent the article to Ibu 50. Maybe Ibu 50 will share it with you later today. And also linguistic landscape can be related with language policy, like how the revitalization of Basque language can be apparent in linguistic landscape in Spain. And also Professor McAllister wrote related to language policy and language landscape in Timor-Leste. Tetun language as a language used by the government, but in fact it is not only Tetun which can be found in linguistic landscape in Delhi. And then distributive approach to linguistic landscape, like research by Salo, Sami language in North Chalot in Spain over there. And also fresh perspective related to linguistic landscape, like minority language, linguistic vitality, material culture of multilingualism, English and modernization. These all things can be seen from the study of linguistic landscape. Now let's look at the trends in linguistic landscape studies. Early research tend to be more quantitative like this, this research. And the later trends explore more qualitative information, like the reasons, effects, perception, responses, and so on. Maybe this, Bapak Ibu, you can see these posters outside there yang sedang rame ya. We as linguists might be interested in knowing why the people put the poster over there. What are the reasons actually? Why do they write this kind or draw this kind of picture over there in the wall in some cities? And also Camila Partuhan, what does it mean? What is the effect of this kind of posters over there? The effect in among the government, the effect to the people, and then perceptions. What is the perception? Do the viewer always see this as Pak Jokowi, or is actually not Pak Jokowi? And what's their perception of this all? and how do they respond? These are the interest among people who are interested in linguistic landscape lately. So not only counting how many Indonesian language are used, how many English language is used, but it's more importantly related to reasons, effects, perceptions, responses, and so on. Now let's look at more research related to linguistic landscape. I give an example from a paper written by Kotter in 2007, The Linguistic Landscape in Rome. It relates to aspect of multilingualism. There are two, the research was conducted in 4 different areas in Rome, which is city center, Travester, Esquilino, and Termini. And from the 4 areas, Italian is still the biggest. Italian predominates the language used in Rome, followed by Italian combined with English. So this is the diagram. Italian is the biggest, yeah, and then followed by combination Italian and English. This one, and look at this is an example of linguistic landscape of the sign for the Roma Termini. So this is bus terminal, I think. This font of Disney can be
host, can you please mute participant that has the microphone active? Pak Dedi, host atau hostnya yang tolong di mute. Oke, makasih. Silakan dilanjutkan.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah. So this is an example of sign in Roma bus terminal. The bigger font here, it is written in Italian, Roma Termini, and accompanied by English. All directions here, it is written in smaller font. And also here, all the font in bold and also bigger in size are all in Italian. English is put in a lower and also smaller font and not in bold. What can this inform? It means Italian is still dominating. They don't put English as the most important things in the country, yeah. So English is put there, but English is not more important than Italian. So you can see the ideology, language ideology in Roma, it is not dominated by English, but English is just accompanying Italian, and it is in smaller font and not in bold font. Okay, now let's look at another research by Beckhorst in 2007, and it is written in the form of books. There are a lot of research questions put forth by Beckhorst. For example, what language is contained in Tokyo, yeah? And then what combinations of the languages? What top-downs and bottom-up signs over there? Geographic distribution, and then code preference, and then part writing and visibility, idiosyncrasies, and layering. Now let's look at this is the raw data over there. So there are 28 areas researched by Beckhorst, and the items, the signs collected by Beckhorst is 11,834. So if it is more quantitative analysis of signs, there will be so many data like this, 11,000, you can imagine, to store 11,000 data over there. And most of them are monolingual signs, 9,000, and only 2,000 something, which is in multilingual signs. Now let's look at other issues. related to the language. Yeah, the language that we can see: English, Japanese, the combination kanji and kana, Japanese Romanized. So it is Japanese language, but written in Latin, and then Japanese written in furigana alphabet, and then Chinese, Korean, French, and no Indonesian. Maybe Indonesian is there, but not many, or
Not
maybe not significant. That is why it's not written. So the first in rank is English, yeah, Japanese combined with English, and then related to combination Japanese with in kanji and kana combined. It is also the first one. And if we look at the Japan languages and Japanese clauses, look at here, yeah. So in terms of percentage, kanji and kana is the number 2, but combination Japanese and English is number 1, 92.7 in terms of Japanese classes. And then related to top down and bottom up, the signs written by the government mostly is in kanji and kana. In English, it is only the second rank. And especially for the bottom up, the sign put forth by common people, the biggest one is English. So they prefer to use English, the common one, common people. And kanji and kana is just 62 for the second rank after the use of English. So this is the kind of quantitative analysis of signs, yeah, that are count and the count in terms of percentage, rank, and so on. Look at here in terms of foreign residents. Who are the residents over there? Shinjuku, 9.4, which is the biggest one, is Asia. And Minato, the biggest one, which is only 4.9%, is Europe and North America. And in terms of the languages used, look at Shinjuku, where the biggest residence is Asia. The language, in terms of English, yeah, English is big, 112, and then 79. Yeah. What about Chinese? Chinese is only small in number. So although it is actually inhabited by Asia, but the language, the biggest one is still English. And Minato, who has the biggest amount of residents from Europe and North America, the amount of English is 75, 72, 84, 70. So other languages are not there. It's only English which is mentioned over here. And then if we look at this is just an example of a sign put over there. Later I will explain about it. Now, related to code preference, which code? If we refer to code, yeah, code mix, code switch, maybe so far what we are familiar with, code mix, code switch, and so on. If we look at code mix in linguistic landscape, it can be seen like this. It is written special price down, it is in English and written in Latin. And below it, there is a Japanese alphabet. I'm not sure whether it is kanji or kana or whatever. I'm not really familiar with Japanese, but it is the combination between English and Japanese. And below it, it is topographic name, Miyamasu Zaka. So the left one, it is written in Japanese alphabet, and the other one, it is the name, Japanese name, but written in Latin. So this is the kind of code preference by inhabitants in Tokyo. Next, let's look at the visibility, how the language appears in the signs. If we look at next to each other, just like this, next to each other. This one, AU, prepaid phones with the digital. So it is in English. But in here, there is something written in Russian. So the feasibility, the combination between one language and the other, it is in next to each other. Some of the signs, it is front and back. So front in English, the other side, the back is in Japanese, just like that. And then below it, it is also next to each other. The left one is in Japanese, the other one is in English. It refers to the feasibility of the sign. Now, that is also related to idiosyncrasies. What idiosyncrasy is? Look at the sign here, below, left. The place policeman, man, patrol. What do you think about the language written there? Is it the correct English or normal or standard English or what? What do you think? The place policeman patrol. Do you have
Direct
more standard? Yeah, direct translation. Do you have a better word for this one? Yeah, I think it should be police station. I think it's enough if we use the word police station. But because originally from Japanese, I don't know this one, the upper part, it is written in Japanese, and then lower part might be Korean or Chinese, and then followed by Arabic, and then another one, Chinese or Korean, because it is translated directly, maybe literal translation, then it becomes the place policeman patrol. So sometimes the sign over there contains some idiosyncrasies, something not proper, error or mistake or something. If it is not mistake, but it's something strange. Sometimes if a combination of language can results in the linguistic landscape in idiosyncrasies like this. And also look at table 528, coffee, the original word from English, coffee. If it is written in Japanese, it becomes kohi. Snack, it becomes sunaku. Menu, it is not written NU, but NYU. Make, maku. So this is a kind of interference from one language to the other, and it can exist in linguistic landscape, in the sign, in public places. And it is found in Tokyo. And the linguistic landscape, we also know what is called layering. Layer. So the language used there is not only monolingual, not only one language, but it can some languages are used together to layer one and others. For example, this one. This is Japanese. It is doubled with English, written in Latin alphabet. Again, the same, another layer. And it's always repeated with, from Japanese, repeated with English, and so on. So it's over there. Yeah. So that is research by Peckhorst in language landscape in Tokyo. Now let's look at another example of linguistic research, linguistic landscape research, the Korean English linguistic landscape. Examples of research question can be like this. Regarding language, what is the percentage of English, Konglish, Korean, and Chinese in the signs? So Lawrence is actually asking these questions. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 questions in a single article. But it might actually comes from bigger research. But here, he wrote related to the use of Konglish, in Korean linguistic landscape. Regarding location, does the percentage change according to locale? From main streets, alleys, inside stores, or on-street vendor signs? Is there any changes in the use of language? Does it change in relation to various districts in Seoul? Gangnam, Sadang, Tukseom, Itaewon, Insadong, Dongdaemun, Nangdaemun markets, and so on. Is there any difference? Does it change in relation to cities in Korea? Seoul, is it different from Bundang, Suwon, Sinduri, and Busan? And then does it change in relation to other sites? Like, for example, Everland. It is a theme park in Yongin. Is it different from theme park and public transportation and bridges? And then regarding domains, are there certain domains where English can be expected to either exist or absent? This is related to the visibility of English in the public spaces in Seoul. And then last one, related to theoretical level. Are the social stratification, gravity, or cascade models supported by the data? So this research is using gravity model by Lebov, yeah. Social stratification, for example, in the street, does it use English? And then does it also use, is English also used in inside the market, and also in the store, and also in the items, and so on. So it's a cascade model. Does it exist in Seoul? So this is the area of the research: Seoul, and then Bundang, Suwon, Sinduri, and within Seoul itself, some places are research analyzed related to linguistic landscape. These are among the data put forth. Look at here. The biggest amount is still Korean. In Tukseom, Korean dominating. Here in Sadong, it's also dominating. In Sadang and also Gangnam, Korean is still dominating. The only exception is Itaewon. Why Itaewon is dominated by English? The answer is that because in this place, foreigners are expected to come more. And in fact, foreigners visit this place more often compared to the other places. What about in Sadong? Why in Sadong has the biggest Korean also compared to the other? This is because according to the government regulations, here is only Korean. Yeah, but still there are some, There are still Englishes there. Inside the store is also English. So this is the something the common people over there is also breaking the rule of the government. Now look at the English in the streets of Seoul. In Main Street, this is the number. It's not always the biggest one. The biggest one is inside. English inside is, this one is bigger. Alice. Here, Itaewon. Itaewon has the biggest in number. In Main Street, inside, Alice and vendors, all Itaewon has the biggest in number. So this one is the language of street signs in Korean cities. Korean is used, the biggest one is in Suwon, and it is almost similar to Sinduri. And English, number in Seoul, Busan, and Bundang. So from this we can see the picture of how English and other languages used in Korea. English in particular districts of Seoul, the biggest number is Itaewon. Yeah, just this is the way of showing different data in different graphic. So the conclusion is that inverse correlation exists over there. In most cases, as English increased, Korean decreased. And positive correlation in many cases, this one is most cases, and this one is many cases, as English increased, Konglish also increased. This one is Korean. The one which is decreased is Korean. But in many cases, when English increased, Konglish, Korean English, also increased. The frequency of English was highest on Main Street, then it dropped consecutively in alleys, inside stores, and with street vendors. This one supports the social stratification or cascade models by Lebov. Yeah. And then frequency of English was high in Seoul, higher in Busan, drop in Bundang, lower in Suwon, slightly higher in Sinduri. And this doesn't support social stratification or cascade model by Lebov, but it supports the idea that English is being linked with modernity, luxury, and youth. The products that are associated with modernity are cell phones and Everland, the theme park. And then luxury is related with hotel and wine. Youth, especially, can be seen in beer and also t-shirts. They are written in English. So English is used when to show modernity, luxury, and youth. So this is the conclusion made by the writer related to linguistic landscape in Seoul. Next one is contesting language ideologies in the linguistic landscape in Irish tourist town. Dingle, the name of the city is Dingle. There are three discourse over there. State, ideology, regulatory discourse that can be seen in here. Here, the Irish language is written in big, yeah, and also it is highlighted together with other language. So this one, corner pass, it is in English, but the above one, it is Irish. This one is also English. So looking at the position, English is a second one, Irish is a number one. But in terms of, the font is capitalized when written in English, but it is not capitalized when written in Irish. So we can see the ideology here that both English and Irish are almost similar in Ireland over there. But here, related to commercial discourse, in stores, in commercial places, and so on, local ideology is put forward, especially local language, yeah, Dingle, it is used over there. And also look at the music instruments shown here. It is more localized, more traditional. And they want to sell that to the travelers. And also the last one is transgressive discourse. That is here it is a town denied democracy. Wow. And then this one is written in, I'm not sure, in Dingle maybe. So this is a transgressive. That is a movement that is moving from a traditional one into more state ideology. Another one, it is by my colleague and I. It is related to the use of Arabic. The use Arabic in the Andalusia. As we know that Arabic in the past was spoken for 7 centuries during the Islamic era over there. But now Arabic cannot be found anywhere. This is because there are regulation from the government that the language used over there is Spanish or Catalonia. So there are 3 circles: state discourse circle, or road signs are written in Spanish using Latin alphabet, just like here. Jaén, Granada, Almeria, these all are Spanish. But actually, Arabic is hidden in the toponyms, just like Almeria. Almeria is from the Arabic words al-mir'ah or al-mar'ah. But then it becomes the Spanish language. Al is there. And then Jaén, Granada. Jaén is actually from Jayan or crossroad. So Arabic is not anymore, but the existence of Arabic cannot be denied. It is already hidden in toponyms. Archidona. This is actually from the Arabic words Archiduna. Archiduna, please guide us. It is from Arabic and it's still there. Once I asked Spanish over there, why, if you want to erase Arabic at all from Spain, why don't you just change the names? It's just, he said that it's just not possible because too many places with Arabic names. So let's just use it. So actually they want to avoid it, but they cannot avoid it. That is in state discourse circle. What about in commercial science circle? Look at here. In tourist places where heritage from Islamic era are still there. So there are a lot of inscription in Arabic, very, very beautiful, just like in Granada, Alhambra, and so on. All of them, of course, with Arabic inscription over there. So although formally they ban Arabic, but because in tourist places it can invite tourists from different places of the world, they can generate money from that, then Arabic is preserved in the area. Just like this one. La ilaha illallah. Yeah, they cannot erase it. Actually, they can erase it, but they don't want to erase it because they sell this kind of things. Yeah, they will not have many tourists coming to that places if all the Islamic and also Arabic heritage are erased. That is why then in this circle, Arabic is preserved. What about in the other circle, which is collective identity circle? In restaurants and in some other areas like this, it is written Arabic. Here, mat'am. It's not clear what is written over there, but it is in Arabic. So Arabic is put over there. It's not to sell something like this. Yeah, it is selling something in the restaurant, but not just ordinary selling, but this gives a collective identity as Muslim. Yeah, Muslim wants halal food. That is why then they put this here in the restaurant just as a collective identity as Muslim. They want halal food over there. I think that's all for my presentation related to linguistic landscape.
Thank you, Professor Zuliati Rohmah. It's very interesting, and for I think many of our students or new information that we have. And your presentation emphasized the interconnection of some concept, like it's not just linguistic landscape, but the identity, language ideology, and some language policy too. It seems to be there when we see the signage in the public spaces. I'm sure the audience have questions related to this presentation. If you would like to ask questions, you can just activate your microphone and directly talk. Let me see if I have some question. I don't think. Oh, there are some questions. So while waiting for the direct questions, I can read some questions that we already have in the chat box. Okay, there's one. Looks like from a student. Is the linguistic landscape affected by promotion? Maybe something related to commercial? Prof. Zuliati, that's one of the questions we have here.
Yes, the linguistic landscape could be affects promoting.
Maybe something like promotion, advertisement, or something related to commercial.
Okay, yeah. Does linguistic landscape affect tourist promotion atau gimana maksudnya? Okay, gini.
Elia, do you want to speak directly? Maybe. I don't know if we have.
Okay, yeah. As we know that what kinds of languages appear or what kinds of language apparent in the signage or in the public signs in the area will be able to make a person to fill in group or to fill out group, to feel to be welcomed or not. It depends on the language put in the signs. If, for example, we visit to a place, for example, we come to Japan, and then we find Indonesian language over there. What do you think we will feel? Will we feel happier? Feel welcome? Or feel sad? I think we will feel happy. We will be happier if our language is there because we understand or we feel that the owner or the host knows my language. They understand me. So we feel happy because we feel that the people over there understand us. This is just because of the use of the language over there. So I think the kinds of language apparent in signs in tourist places, of course, will attract more tourists. If, for example, you put signs in Arabic, we expect more Arabic people to come. Yeah, and if we put, for example, Japanese, then Japanese people might be welcome to be there. I think I will connect with the question above that. Why is Indonesian not very significant in other countries? Yeah. If, for example, once I heard a Japanese person, an Indonesian person in Japanese says that Indonesian is not used there, yeah, and then that person asked to maybe the staff over there why this is related to test and drive to get driving license, yeah, and the test is written not only in English, not only in Japanese, but also in other languages like Vietnam and also Korean and other languages. But then that person, when tried to find Indonesian, he cannot find Indonesian language. And then he tried to communicate. Why cannot I find Indonesian language in the driving license test? And then the staff over there says that, yeah, because not many Indonesian coming to or to get the driving license. So that is the practical reason why Indonesian is not there. So the answer for the question, I think it's also similar because Indonesian do not have just do not come there, yeah, and then might be Indonesian do not have a significant effect over there. So economically, in trading, for example, not many people trade Indonesian goods in that country, for example. So what for? They put Indonesian language over there. So that is the reason why people do not put Indonesian over there. Maybe not many tourists coming to that place also. Not many Indonesian tourists. But if they expect Indonesian to come, of course they will put Indonesian language over there. just to attract Indonesian people to come. I think that is politics related to the use of language in other place.
Yeah. So the significant number or the significant effects in terms of trading and other aspects. Yeah. I saw some participants raise their hands, but I couldn't see it anymore. So if anyone has any question, go ahead and raise your hands or just activate your microphone and speak directly to our speaker today.
Okay, may I?
Yeah, Pak Dim, please.
Okay, thank you, Bu Sari. Prof. Zuliati from
Winsa, Surabaya.
Sunan.
I'm very happy to be with you today and very interesting topic, but I've been feeling left behind academically for some reasons. Yeah, last time we used to teach social linguistics with Bu Sari, but long time ago. Okay, I think dealing with your topic, I think we can say that there are some pragmatic social linguistic reasons why certain languages are used in certain places, like in restaurants and somewhere in other countries too. For example, they use that for academic, for business, and maybe for making people feel happy when they want to find some food they understand their own language, so they feel happy with that. And but I wonder if you agree, Prof. Zuliati, about the use of a lot of English in our country here, right? Some countries are very strict, very fanatic not to use other languages except their own language, like Japanese and the Chinese and other places. But we, university people, are very happy, very proud of using English. We try to use English everywhere, in speaking and publicly, between friends, in movies, and also in label signs, in restaurants and of offices. We use a lot of English words. Well, to me, in a way, I'm happy. In a way, not so happy, because we are supposed to use a lot of Indonesian everywhere, but it's a problem that we declare that we are Indonesian people, but we do not use Indonesian well yet, right? So there's so many problems for us in using Indonesian orally as well as in written. Okay, I want to know Prof. Zuliati's ideas about that opinion, about the use of English a lot in our country. The question I heard a long time ago, is it possible for Indonesian people to make English a second language in our country? That's maybe just a big issue. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. Bu Sari, can I answer directly?
Yes, please, Prof.
Okay.
Zuliati.
Yeah. Thank you, Pak Dim. This is a very interesting topic actually to discuss about just like combining language policy with the practice in the society. In terms of language policy, actually, bahasa resmi Indonesia is bahasa Indonesia, not English. Mm-hmm. But maybe related to lingua franca, it is also Indonesia. We still have it. But related to education and sometimes tradings, especially if it relates to international trading, then English is often used than Indonesian. So in one side, we see that the use of English can open more on economic growth and also educational growth and many other opportunities. In one side, we can say that. If, for example, we want to have a higher education, we need to go abroad, then we have to have TOEFL test, IELTS test, and so on. This is because we cannot deny that now the global language is English. So in one side, then there is a kind of linguistic imperialism also. In addition to economic imperialism, we have also linguistic imperialism. So not only our economy is, being influenced by international countries where English is used, but also in terms of language, then we are also influenced. Although we do not want to use English, but because when we want to study abroad, for example, Ibu Sari, and also I myself, when we want to go to the United States, we cannot go there if we do not pass English, Western score, or IELTS score, or TOEFL score. Then in one side, we need to, against the linguistic imperialism, we use Indonesian, but on the other side, the acquisition of English will open more opportunities, be it in education, economic, and maybe in also technology. So this is a kind of dual attitudes toward English and also maybe other languages. Although actually the government has already put in our UUD 45 ya, pasal berapa Pak? Pasal 33 ya. Bahasa resmi negara adalah bahasa Indonesia ya. So that's good. So it is a little bit different from Singapore. Singapore, although most of the inhabitants are Melayu, but some of them are Indian, some of them are Chinese, but then they decide that their formal language is not Melayu, not Chinese, not Indian. But then they decide to have English. And this, we can see whether it is a good thing or not, but then they have a higher development, higher growth in terms of almost everything, but culture, yeah. Maybe for culture, they lost their own culture. They don't have any more Malay culture or maybe Indian or maybe Chinese, but they all submit to modern, what is so-called modern culture. So I think it's kind of two plates of swords. In one side, it is something that we don't want, but it is, if we do not use it, if we do not acquire this, then we will be left behind. So I don't know. I think my attitude is almost similar with Pak Tim also.
Yes,
So,
English, we could use both languages quite well. Yeah. Okay, thank you, Zuliati.
You're welcome, Pak.
It's a bit challenging to find a balance between growing. We want our nation to be catching up with all the technology advancement and everything, which are dominated in English. But at the same time, we also want to preserve our own culture. So I think with this linguistic landscape, we can learn. Prof. Zuliati can maybe elaborate a little bit how the research in linguistic landscape can be helpful in understanding the language policy, especially related to education. Especially I think our students and lecturers in our program always try to connect that with language education and how that knowledge or research on linguistic landscape can enhance our understanding on that. Any thoughts on that, Prof. Zuliati?
Yeah. In the past, we have a policy for the government to have English as a local language, muatan lokal, But now I think it's a little bit different in terms of foreign language, especially English. I think it's up to the school But although the government doesn't give any, doesn't make it as a compulsory subject in elementary school, but many schools now try to offer that as their curriculum because, like we discussed earlier, that English can open more opportunities, can be in terms of education or better life or economic and other aspect. And now, what is a little bit irony is that in our curriculum, English is now only 2 hours per week in junior high school and also in senior high school. It's only 2 hours per week, but the government wants our students to go global. Whereas the place or the position of English now in our country is foreign language. So how can they go global without enough English education and also without enough support from the government? So it's something ironic actually. But thanks to the technology right now, that students without actually adequate teaching of English at schools, but they can learn from technology, from the internet, from YouTube. So students can get it very easily right now. And teachers actually, although they have only 2 hours per week, they can give more opportunities for the students by giving them YouTube channels and many useful and great, especially learning sports from the internet right now. So the government can give us only 2 hours, but other facilities can be obtained by students from outside of the classroom.
Right. So the private practice is more open to bilingualism or multilingualism. I think that's also, if we see signage in the private places and government places, we might see different signs. I think Zuliati reminds me of the new article written by Nelly Martin, if you remember her.
Oh, yeah.
Also in our cohort, writing about linguistic landscape in 3 cities in Indonesia, in Jogja, Semarang, and in Jakarta, and looking at the local language versus English and private places and government places. That shows very interesting dynamic in there. I think that's a very interesting. And your research too with the Arabic language, we can see that we might, in terms of policy, might not be supported by the government, but the private practice, actually, there are some powerful influence of the people and the commercial needs. I think that's what I can infer from your presentation, Bu Zuliati. I think the last one that you talk about, unfortunately we didn't delve really into that article. I found it really interesting. Your article looking at the Arabic language in Andalusia, which we all know that is in the past was dominated by Arab or people from Arabic origin, but now almost all sign, as you have presented earlier, is dominated by Spanish and maybe some English, but some private places are still very open to Arabic and multilingual. I think that's conclude our general lecture today. Thank you very much, Professor Zuliati Rohmah, for sharing the research and concepts related to linguistic landscape. I'm sure there are many takeaways we got from this presentation that I hope will inspire us to see more research on this area and see the connection to language education and how we as preservist teachers and also teachers in the teacher education program can know more about this and see how we can use it in our teaching. Thank you again, Bu Zuliati Rohmah, for your time and presentation. Thank you so much for your attention. I'll hand it back to our MC, Bu Dwi Maharani. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much, Ibu Professor Dr. Zuliati Rohmah, M.Pd, and also our moderator, Ibu Sari Silviani. I think we can give virtual reactions for the clap. Yeah, you can give virtual clap for our guest lecturers and also moderator today. Thank you so much. And this is the end of our general lectures today. And before we close our general lecture, we can take a photo stations for a while. So everyone can turn on your videos so the committee can take photo sessions for each page of this subroom. Okay? And give your best smile. Okay, I'll take the first page of our room. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Smile. Very good. Next to the next page. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Thank you so much. And next one. Okay.
Jangan lewat dulu.
Next one, the fourth one. Okay.
So many attendees, yeah. We have 11 pages. Very exciting.
Okay. Now the fifth page. I'll take the screenshot for the fifth page. Okay. Next, the sixth one. Okay. And the last two pages. Okay. And one more page, the last one. Okay, great. Okay, thank you so much, everyone, for having a very good time with us for today's general meeting. And for the next agenda, I think we will also inform you for another agenda that we have in our English Education Study Program. And have a nice day. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Terima kasih Bu Zuliati.
Terima kasih Bu.